Okay. Well, good evening or good afternoon or good morning, wherever you might be. We are glad to be here today to continue our conversations on Sober Sunday. Sober Sunday is an open talk that we should have every Sunday night, East African time, with me, Simon Bevy, stimulating conversations on different issues of life. And the last few weeks, two sessions, we've been talking about finances and just the happenings of Corona-19, COVID-19, the coronavirus, and how it has affected the world in terms of business, finance, personal and family, and how to survive and how to thrive through this season. So we want to invite all of you who have joined in. We want to ask you to invite your friends, host a watch party, and let your friends know we have a conversation. Have a notebook and pen. We're going to talk about quite a few ideas, and we hope some of you are going to pick up some of those ideas and run with them and be the better for it. So again, you're welcome. I'm Simon Bevy with Transform Nations, and I want to invite my guests today. Really excited about the two guests that I have for this conversation. Today, we're talking about investment practices and opportunities during this season. We're going to talk what are some of the good things to do when it comes to investments, and then how do you open your eyes and see the opportunities are there for companies, for businesses, but also for families and individuals. So I'm excited about today. I also have my notebook and pen, and so I'm looking forward to a good conversation. In fact, before I invite my two guests, let me just read a verse here that I love in the Bible, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22. Proverbs 15, 22, it says, without counsel, plans go bad. But in the multitude of counsel or counselors, they are established. When there's no counsel, when there's no wisdom or advice from those who have gone ahead of us in one way or another, know a little bit more, then things don't go right. But when you listen to counselors and listen to the wisdom that they have, then you're able to establish your plans by what you hear. And so I'm hoping today that there's going to be lots of counsel around money and investments, finances, and how to survive in this season. So let me start with the lady who is new to this platform today. It's a first time to join us, and we're excited to have you, Charity Ngivinji. I've known her for a while. When I got to know her, she was very passionate about helping young people do entrepreneurship and find opportunities, especially online. And she still does that big time, and also has been involved in tours and travel, but she's going to say more about herself. So Charity, I know you lead Tandaza Africa, is it? But you say a bit about yourself and your passions and just who you are. Yeah, you need to unmute yourself.
I forget. Thank you so much, Baby. I'm really delighted to be on board. And one thing I'll say, yes, I'm very passionate about young people and just, getting off that concept of like, they go to school, work so hard, get employed. I want to create entrepreneurs. I want to create digital entrepreneurs because that's where we are at. And I'm glad that I'm on this platform where we can be able to discuss and just see what opportunities are there. I came into the digital space not out of want, but out of need. And I'm glad I'm here now because then I can be able to use the knowledge that I've gained so far to be able to inspire many other young people.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we are glad to have you. We have Joram. He was with us last week. He shared a lot of things about business, and Joram Winamo, great strategist, but also now leader of a consortium of businesses by the name Sandbox, SNDBX. And I want to invite him just to introduce himself, say a few things about himself and what he does before we jump into the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. You've actually introduced me quite well. You give me permission to be using that in line going forward. But yes, I'm the CEO of Sandbox. As Pastor Simon has said, we are a one-stop shop that brings together different professional service experts under one roof. And we have 25 different professional services under one roof called Sandbox. And yeah, we welcome entrepreneurs there who are looking to take their businesses to the next level, whether they are startups, whether it's from a strategy point of view, from growing businesses, or whether they are large enterprises looking to scale. We've been able to work with a lot of Kenyan companies now going into the thousands, just to help people navigate our difficult but possible work environment. And even as Charity was introducing herself, I just remembered that, there's a saying that a lot of people miss out on opportunities because opportunities come dressed as work. And therefore, looking forward to talking more about that today.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much, Joram. We're glad that you made time to come back. Thank you for many of you that I see you have already joined in, and some of you are still joining in. Please remind your friends that we are on so that they may come in and get to hear the wisdom that is being shared today. And that's just discussing how to make sure that during this season of COVID-19, where business has been hit hard, especially in some sectors of society, but also personal finance, people have lost jobs and are looking for opportunities. Also, you may start a watch party, and please, let's make this interactive. We're going to be looking at some of your comments, questions as well to any of us, so that we get to respond to you, and you will be the better for being with us today. So I think let's begin. Tandaza, Africa, and what you've been doing. How has it been affected, your business? How has it been affected by COVID-19 the last year and a half?
I'm in tourism. Tourism is my business, and I'm very honest that tourism has been hard hit, like really hit, and I think it's a wake-up call for a lot of people that we are now moving into the digital space. So anything that has digital inclination then will win the day. But as long as you are doing business the old way, it's not going to work. And people must realize that things are changing. We can't do things the same old way that we used to do stuff. We need to do things differently. We need to look at things from a different perspective. The digital space, the farmer space, those are the people that are making money. So even if you're in tourism, like I'm in tourism, you must look at things from a digital perspective. And thankfully, I had already moved into the digital world like 3 years before. So in terms of being able to do things from that perspective of the digital space, I think I'm in a good space. And that's how we've been able to survive for the last 1.5 years.
Okay. That's good. And I'm going to get back to you, but let me start with you, Joram. Just after COVID hit and you have worked with a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs, what are some good practices that have begun to become like best practices during this season for businesses, especially that we would say, during this season, these are the 2 or 3 things you need to start doing regularly so that you make sure that you survive this season?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think when I think back, because we've spent close to maybe a year under this COVID situation, and so different people have, in a sense, responded differently. I think initially, because it was one of those unprecedented situations which we had never faced before, it just started out with a lot of confusion, a lot of people not knowing what to do, people not knowing how long it was going to take. And so there was a bit of a period there where people went through, that is it the 5 stages of grief, starting with denial, then, moving all the way to anger and eventually acceptance. And what I found is that those who went through that cycle faster are the ones who were able to just come to the place where they, admitted that things have changed drastically and that they need to adjust quickly to the situation that had happened. So for a lot of people, that meant cutting costs. For some of them, it meant, reducing salaries. For others, it meant maybe going to work with part-time staff during that period. And then after that, we got into the period where the new
Okay, I don't know if we are losing Jerome. Yeah, I think it must be an internet issue, but as we wait for him to come back, Charity, we can, okay, Jerome, you're back.
Yes, I was saying, as
Okay.
people began to, realize that they can use alternative business models, then they began to, adapt to the whole e-commerce proposition. For those who are right now, we are even about to host a virtual conference on the 25th and 26th of this month. That is, we have a platform where you can even have booths and people can interact one-on-one, with people attending the conference. So first, the acceleration of digitization. So those who are again able to quickly start to adopt tools that can replicate offline experiences online have managed to more or less stay in business. But I think, like from my point of view, it's more about adaptability and having a mindset that doesn't look at the world as if things have come to an end, but you're looking at how can I continue to be in business? What are the things I can adopt that will keep me in business? And I tell people haven't stopped eating, people haven't stopped traveling, people haven't, stopped doing all these sorts of things. It's just that how they are consuming them has changed. And so it means that the opportunities have shifted to a new paradigm or a new place. And those people who are able to trace where those new opportunities have shifted are the ones who remain in business today. Maybe later on we'll talk about the fact that the fundamental economics of this country are not showing that anything is wrong with the economy. We are basically in a growth phase. We are not in a recession. It's just COVID that has interrupted the things that were happening before. Of course, yes, we have a lot of debt as a country, and that is putting some strain on government, but almost every other industry is growing. So that points to you that there are opportunities that continue to exist. And basically after, this period where the lockdowns and everything are happening, there's going to be a clear recovery that will happen.
Okay. I like that. And I think part of what you're saying, we need a curious mind that is investigating and getting to know what is coming, what is available, the opportunities that are available. Maybe to come to you, Charity, is to ask, you have worked a lot with young entrepreneurs and the youth as well. And we're talking about finding opportunities for investments and for making money. But, Jerome has talked about adaptivity, being able to adapt and realize things have changed. but also adopt the new way of business. What are some other practices you could advise the young entrepreneurs to pick up during this season if they're going to survive and find the opportunities? The microphone.
Keep on forgetting that.
That's okay.
Yeah, but for me, the young people need to look at areas whereby we have, they need to be problem solvers, whereby you're looking at issues, you need to solve a problem and run with it. And then again, with the long term that I've been working with young people for a long time, and most of them want to make money quickly. You can't make money quickly. You need to be very patient. You need to look at areas whereby we need to look at issues that are affecting the community, affecting the society, and coming up with a program that will help communities solve their problems. So the young people need to look at things differently. The space of online forex trading as well. And I'm very sad to say that a lot of young people want to make money quickly. You can't make money quickly. First and foremost, you've got to invest in terms of learning to acquire a skill set. And most of them want to learn and acquire a skill set free of charge. That's not possible. You've got to pay for it. In terms of time, in terms of money, you've got to invest for you to be able to reap the benefits. So this is something that we need to work on our young people so that they can learn that it's not a happy-go-lucky kind of thing going on, but they've got to come on board and understand that they've got to invest in terms of time and money. That's one thing. It's a mindset thing. They need to shift their mindset completely.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the young people think you can just get rich very quick. The get rich quick attitude that needs to change. I mean, and why not? Because they see these COVID-19 millionaires who just were working somewhere and got a contract of 5 million and got someone else to sign a bank loan for them, and then they got rich. So they are thinking, this is easy, we could do this. Also, I think betting had become a big thing for these young people. So to them was, what is it I can do magic to get rich by next year? I want to get to where Joram is by next year. But I don't really understand what journey Joram has taken to be able to get there. I think it's a pervasive attitude across the country. Joram, what did you say about that?
I have been a big advocate for a lot of changes in very many different spaces. And one big one is just the stories that we share and the stories that we celebrate of people who've made it in business. We have this thing where we sensationalize entrepreneurship. We tell people, in fact, nowadays I see a lot of jokes around. I started with a feather, now I own a chicken farm. You know, there are all these kinds of jokes that go around about, you know, they are called motivational speakers, where you started with something small and now within a very short period of time, you own something big. I think as Charity is saying, there's no way you will attain excellence or greatness in any one field when it comes to investment, when it comes to business, without giving it time, without learning, without, you know, understanding what are the forces that drive something to give you success. And over time, business also goes through different cycles. So how do you build a resilient investment, whether it's a company or you're investing in different, you know, assets, whether it's securities or stocks or bonds and those kinds of things? Have you learned what it takes to make that thing work over the long term? A lot of people look at maybe the success we enjoy today with Sandbox and think that, you know, it was an overnight thing, but it was basically a 17-year journey building the business from 2004 that enabled us to just go putting the foundations necessary, building a brand, building, you know, teams that can make things work. And now when you see, you know, the kind of brand that we built today, it is basically accumulation of mistakes, experiences, knowledge, building a brand, building trust, and then getting to the place where now we are able to do much bigger things. And so, but even, in a time like COVID is here to test the resilience of the investments that people have put in place, and whether, they have put in place the right things that will weather this particular storm. Looking at it from a macro point of view, a situation like this actually gives a lot of opportunities, because a lot of things are discounted, a lot of things are cheap, stocks are cheap, and some are going to rebound. Properties are cheap, and some are going to rebound. So if you have good advice on some of these spaces, I think the bonds that were just floated recently are probably at an all-time high in the last 5 or so years. There's a lot of opportunities that are seated in very many different places. But if you're driven by greed, you're not going to be able to see them. Greed, drives one end, and the other end of it is fear. But if you invest in learning how things work, then you end up walking into it with a lot of knowledge, and you end up making a lot of prudent investments that will minimize losses and increase profits down the line.
I like it. I like the emphasis that it's really about investing in understanding something so well. I think someone used to tell us that don't invest unless you're being advised, and some people are helping you do it, but don't invest in something you don't understand. Because even though it may be making money, if you don't understand it, others are going to make money off you because you don't really get it. So spend time to train, to learn. I think both of you are saying that. Invest in the right skills so that as you begin to invest, then you really understand. So the first investment opportunity is a new, skill set, a new understanding, experience in something for a while, so that you may be able to use it to get to the next level. All right. So Charity, tell us this digital space. Some youth want to do some work on the digital space. You've mentioned about Forex business and how that can happen digitally. There's a lot of talk of Bitcoins and all of that. What are some of the opportunities that you have trained? Because I've seen you with some seminars online for young people on how they can make some money online.
I will start from my own experience, and for me to even get into the digital space is because I'd gotten to a point whereby I don't want to wake up and go to an office in the morning, including my own office. I wanted to work from home because I wanted to spend much more time with my children and stuff like that. But over time, I found that people still have that mentality that they want to have a get-rich-quick scheme. Me, I'll be very honest with you, in this digital space, it was baptism by fire, because you come on board, first and foremost, you're that executive who thinks you don't have the time to study, so you want other people to do the work for you. Man, to be very honest with you, they mess you up. I got messed up from the beginning, okay? Then I decided, if these young people can do it, I can also do it. And I decided to learn. So one, I invested time in acquiring the skill set, okay, to be able now to do my trading on my own. I didn't need them. But before I learned that, I lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of time, a lot of money. I'll be very honest with you. I lost a lot of money. But the time I learned, and now I'm able to trade on my own. I don't need anyone to trade for me. I don't need these young people coming and telling me, oh, I can trade for you, or you put money with it. No. I can do it on my own. Secondly, the market is so diverse. So every day I'm learning, I'm studying. So even in my age, then I don't have those issues of dementia, yeah, because then my brain is active, okay? So it also gives me space to be able to do things differently and to be able to study, and my brain is active. So as you speak right now, I'm learning on DeFi, which is Decentralized Finance. So I've actually now moved away from tourism into finance, and it's amazing, it's interesting, and I enjoy myself. So the young people who want to get onto this space, first and foremost, must learn that there's no quick money. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the time, you've got to put in the money. There's no free bread, by the way. You have to put in money and you have to put in time. And you must look for mentors who can help you move up the ladder. Don't think you can move in, don't go to Google. Google will not help you. So you must have mentors who can hold your hand and tell you, this is the right space to be in. And, teach you the ropes on how to get to that other level. So along the way, I have learned all that stuff. And in my age, I think I'm really excited because I said I can keep dementia away because I spend a lot of time studying. It keeps me away from mischief. So even for young people, they must put in the time and the energy and learn. You can't have free money. There's no free money. There's no free bread. They've got to put in the time and the energy.
Yeah, so you're talking about decentralized finance. That's forex trading, and what else is around that? I'm trying to ask for those of us who don't understand that world, so that they know those opportunities that are available there.
Decentralized finance is so wide. It's something that has between 2018, it started actually in about 2018, but really did pick up in 2020, whereby you can be able to open up what we call trading pools, and you can be able to put in your money and it earns commissions. You don't need anyone to do that for you, but once you study and learn and understand, you can be able to do it yourself, and you're able to have progressive growth without necessarily having to put your money in a bank account. Because I'll be very honest with you, banks, all these funds that we have, I will not mention names. In terms of some of them, I remember I went in and pulled my money out because I felt robbed. That for like 15, 16 years, I've been putting money on a monthly basis and I'm not getting the returns that I deserve. Okay, so I have learned the process, and once you learn, you can be able to do it yourself. And I always advocate, I always tell people, don't go and ask someone to do it for you. Learn and do it for yourself. Whereby I can say, I have $1,000 or I have 50,000 shillings or 100,000 shillings. I can be able to invest this money here and be able to have a return of maybe 20% per month, vis-a-vis earning an interest of 14% per year. You understand where I'm coming from? Yeah, it's possible. We've done it. We do it, and it's possible.
All right, thank you. And I know there are many places where that learning is. I have seen you post some of those opportunities for training, to be able to train and get involved in that. But I like what you said, that don't just rush into it. Get someone to handhold you. Someone to mentor you, and I know you're available to introduce some of the young people who want to get into that world, but don't assume you know it. Don't just watch 2 videos and say, let me put in money here. I think the caution is, opportunities are great. You can make a lot of money in decentralized finance, but you need to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get broke in a hurry and get into loans. Joram, what are some other opportunities available, especially for businesses, as they begin to have these practices of learning and having new skills and getting into the digital world? What else is available? And maybe before you answer, just to say thank you, those of you who are saying you are tuned in. Mathegi, you've been very faithful in making comments. Thank you, Victoria. Academy, yeah, we had missed you. You're saying knowledge is power. and you're happy with the panelists and the opportunity to learn. But continue to make some, to host some watch parties and invite your friends and ask any question as we continue for the next 20 or so minutes. So let's, Joram, let's go to Joram.
Okay. So I like to look at opportunities from an economic point of view. And for that, then you'd be looking at basically 3 levels. The first one would be that there's a lot of local opportunities. The second for me is regional, and then the third is global. And when I look locally, the Kenyan economy is something that I've been tracking for a very long time. And now I've begun to see just some of, opportunities that have been coming up. So for example, one of the big things that I've seen in the recent past is just the whole thing that we have always looked at agriculture from a point of view of primary production. And, we used to be the place where people, plant everything and then it's all bundled into containers and taken, globally. But of late, there have been a lot of Kenyans who have seen the opportunity to go into value addition, where we've just basically realized that, turning the things from primary products into value-added products, whether it's packaged products that are sold locally, through the retail space, a lot of opportunity has opened up there. And so, and it's something that I encourage, a lot more people to go into. It's never been rocket science, and therefore there's never been a good reason why Africa is just simply, a growing ground. And if I was to link the agri opportunity now to go regional, there's something that was passed at the beginning of this year, which a lot of people still are not aware of, and you can join us at Sandbox on 25th and 26th to learn more about this, which is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Because most of the things that we have been growing in Africa go as primary products, and it's difficult to get into the Western markets. But with this free trade area being opened up, basically it means that we can export things over time to other African countries, which has been very difficult, for many reasons, and those barriers are now being removed. And so there's a big opportunity to have these finished products, not just serving the local market, but going into the regional and into other African countries. Africa is a 1.2 billion people market. We hear those kind of numbers and in Kenya, because we're used to billions being stolen, we don't think it's big. But that's such a large number of people to serve. Africa as a continent is, in fact, the only continent where you have economies growing. They say at an average overall is like 3%, but you have certain economies growing by either up to 7 or 10%. Your Ethiopia's, your Rwanda's, and even places like Zimbabwe, we've had a lot of regime changes happening. And so a lot of regional opportunities opening as a result of that. So people with branded products can begin to look into how can they, widen the scope of their markets. And then locally, just things like e-commerce as well has become a big opportunity when you enable others who've had products to be able to fulfill, the demand that is out there. A lot of people have been able to continue staying in business because they've embraced e-commerce. So anyone who plays in that space of enabling people to be in the e-commerce space, there's money to be made. The whole aspect of digitization, my friends who are in the process of helping people digitize have been so busy through COVID, and it has not stopped. I have trouble even getting my suppliers to come to my office because they're so busy serving people outside, helping them to digitize and therefore being able to grow. And still, we have, financial opportunities to invest in locally, from the safer, bonds and the like, to some of the more sophisticated, stocks. And, if you're even to get advisors that can help you go beyond that, there's even wider opportunities around the financial space. So people always tell me that I sound very optimistic, but it's because it's true. Those opportunities do exist. Fundamentally, Africa for the next 10, 20, 30 years will be a place that's growing and growing and growing, as long as we don't get back into our old habits of war and bad governance, we have so much opportunity in this continent. And that's why you see a lot of foreigners actually coming here, because they understand the data a lot better than we do. And they are coming to take advantage of those opportunities before we position ourselves to do the same. So, open up your eyes, get into study of which of these opportunities you can plug yourself into over the long term. In terms of global opportunities, still along the same lines, we are the continent with the most arable land, and at some point, other continents will be relying on us to feed them. Are you prepared for that revolution when it happens? People like Strive Masiwa have been saying for a long time, if they were to go back to being youth, one of the things I would invest in right now is agriculture. And so those opportunities still exist. And there are things that you can take advantage of if we, study them and give our minds to it.
Let me ask you before I go back to Charity, and she can tell us a little bit more of just some other opportunities available, but also some pitfalls that we need to watch out for. But Joram, with Suluhu, hitting it off very well with our president,
Yes.
are we expecting a lot more opportunities in Tanzania, where there are a lot of Kenyan investors who had held off?
I am also personally quite excited about her presidency, because it has brought a very different tone. I am one who's done quite a bit of business in Tanzania, and I can always tell it has always been, you go in tiptoeing, because you're not very sure what it is that you're going to get, and that the tone had been getting worse and worse. But with Suluhu and the kind of building of bridges between Kenya and Tanzania that she's been doing, we are projecting that there'll be a lot more opportunities. We need to be very careful, though. I think as Kenyans, we've always looked down upon Tanzania. But there's a lot of great stuff that's happening there, from the mining sector, from the agricultural sector, and just how the economy is growing. And so one of the things we can probably take down there, it's just the aspect of the services that we built here that are quite necessary there. But there's also a big opportunity for trade from Tanzania coming this way as well. But I wouldn't limit it to that. I would still look at the whole of Eastern Africa. One of the markets that's opening up slowly but surely is also Ethiopia, which is twice the size of our market. And so when you look at the whole of Eastern Africa and things that have happened recently, just in terms of having a lot of settling down as far as the economies and political governance is concerned, if you have a unique product or service that you're doing, then you should definitely start thinking about going regional. Of course, if you're doing a good job locally, you should definitely start thinking of going regional, because it's a 220 million people market. And so again, as I tell you, other people understand what those kind of figures mean, but we here don't seem to be looking out as much. Just one tip I would tell people, don't focus so much on the politics that's happening in this country. If your mind is just looking at what's happening in that space, you lose out on so many opportunities that are happening in our wider space. So be wise and keep your eyes open for the economic opportunities that open up, even as things settle down in the region politically.
Okay. Well, thank you. We are coming to you, Charity, just to tell us what else is available and which ways people should look. Jen Maina, thank you. Tune in from Mombasa, Kenya. And Willie Ortiz, you're saying informative discussion, and you're happy for the initiative. Thank you for those of you who continue to let us know that you're tuned in. And for those of you who are hosting watch parties, we are glad to continue to have this conversation. Okay, Charity, your time.
For me, my take would be for people to be open-minded and just embrace technology, because that's the way we are going. We cannot get away from technology. It doesn't matter what area you are in, whether it's tourism. Like for me, also in tourism, I've gone into e-commerce right now because I have projected and seen that the technology, I can go anywhere. So the same way, even with the financial sphere, There's so many opportunities that are there, but it's for people to be open-minded. Whenever you tell somebody about Bitcoin, they go crazy and they're like, oh my God, that's a scam. But my friend, Bitcoin, like 10 years ago was, I would say when it started off was like $8 per Bitcoin. Right now, we are heading to $60,000 per Bitcoin. So really, we just need to be open-minded in our way of doing stuff. If you're in agribusiness, connect agribusiness with technology. If you're in manufacturing, look for the best ways or the best technology you can get in your own sphere. If you are in say, I don't know, with farming, whatever, agri, just connect. Technology is a way to go. We cannot get away from that. So anybody who wants to put in their money, place your bets where technology is concerned, because that's the way the world is moving. That's all I can say. And then for the people, there's no quick money. You've got to put in the work. You've got to put in the energy. You can't come in and say, I'm going to spend, I want to make money. I find people coming and telling me that I want to make money and make money quickly. There's nothing like that. You've got to put in the work, and you've got to study, acquire the skills for you to be able to move on to the next level.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. I think we're grateful to those of you. Someone asking about is it advisable to go to investment advisors to be advised on where to invest? Someone who has texted me and said, would it be a good thing to go to investment banks or investment offices so they advise you when you just don't know what to do? Charity.
For me, I'll be honest, and I said this from my own experience. Initially, I did invest through trust funds and stuff like that. But the minute I learned how to do it for myself and to be able to maximize, then I do it direct. So if you can spend time, if you can spend money to learn about it, you'll be able to invest directly and make a lot more money for yourself. I've learned something that you call staking, or trading pools, and I'm able to put in money and at least get about 20 to 25%. No bank will ever give you that, and that's not per year, that's per month. No bank will give you that.
So it's better to learn for yourself, but then if you don't want to learn, then you can settle for what is available. But if you can learn for yourself,
exactly,
it will be a lot better. Joram, there are some, companies that, invest so that they can be able to sustain themselves. What is there some advice you could give? You're talking about digitizing, but also embracing technology, so that you know how you are in the space where people are right now. But any other advice that you would give? For example, I am doing Transform Nations. We're beginning to train a lot more online, but I don't think going online is the only skill that you need to survive right now. There's a lot more that is entailed in turning your entire business towards where we are going. Maybe some advice as we come towards a close in another 10 minutes.
Yeah, this time always goes too fast.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, there's always room for advisors. We do it ourselves. We've helped quite a number of businesses rethink and re-strategize during the COVID period. At the Sandbox, we have everyone from people who can help you position and strategize in the online space. We have people who can help you think through, just rethinking your business model and how to even build the e-commerce capabilities. We basically have advisors who can help you think in every direction. And I think the most important thing when it comes to selecting an advisor is basically to look for somebody, one, who puts the money where their mouth is. So they are actually doing what it is that they are advising you to do, and that they are being successful at it. We have some common friends at Moran Capital who've been helping people just get even into the financial advisory space, because you have some people who may not have the time to invest in learning how to do the trading themselves, but need somebody else to do it on their behalf, and they've been able to achieve some more larger than average returns than what you'd be able to get from your mutual funds and your normal. I think what they say is high risk, high return. So if you're able to take the risk to learn about higher methods of investment, then the opportunities do exist. And I think I remember reading a very long time ago that certain opportunities are also just available to people who have money, because when it comes to having money is always on demand, and there are all sorts of instruments that are available for you to put your money into. I'm the kind of person who, even until today, I invest in the stock market in Kenya, and you'll hear very many negative things about it today. But if you look at it overall, even having lost money on certain counters that were considered bulletproof in the past, we've still made money overall, like over 30% on the portfolio that we've done. So again, it's just understanding how the stock market works. I still hold some bonds that we've invested in from the past, that some of them started when quite some high returns of even up to 22%. If you remember, in the last election, we had similar challenges. So it's about getting advisors who really understand and can explain to you how it is that they go about making their money, and how they could help you to do the same if you don't have the time to invest. But every time you go into a certain type of investment, make sure you understand for yourself, like throw yourself in. There's a lot of literature or books or things that can help you understand those classes well enough. I've always been an advocate. That's why I'm, known as a chief entrepreneur. I've always been an advocate that, going into business is one of the things that can make you the best returns if you're able to build a business that's able to scale and, tap into different markets, and something that I've done for myself. So that's also something that you could go into. But again, if you come to advisors like ourselves, we have to be able to show you what is it that we've done for other people, what have we done for ourselves, so that we can be able to advise you to go in a direction. So I have clients who we've helped grow into different markets, helped grow their businesses maybe even up to 10 times over a period of 5 years. All these things are possible, but people just have to be willing to get away from the get rich quick mentality. I tell people that in Kenya, people who come up with scams tend to get money quickly. But when they come to somebody like me who's advising you how to make money over the long term, you scrutinize me even a lot more than you scrutinize the politicians that you vote for. So there's something that needs to change about our culture, about interrogating opportunities that we get into, and making sure that we are investing in the right things.
Okay. I love it. Lots of good things that are being said. I've written quite a bit of notes here. And before we take a round with Charity and with you for last comments, let me say to many of us that our programs at Transform Nations are beginning this week. In fact, I just come out of graduations. We had Joram. I mean, whoever thought we would be doing program graduations online? That's what we were doing for Man Enough. That's what we were doing for Ezra, which is a woman enough. We did for the boys who have been trained the last few weeks yesterday. And it's been amazing to hear great stories change for people, and people saying our person here has really changed. We are proud of this program. And so I just want to say to the rest of you, this week, we start off our different programs, and our flyers are online on our page. And other pages as Transform Nations, and you could find us on those. Man Enough, Intentional Moms, Intentional Dads, those are beginning, and we want to invite you to register, and for 8 weeks, then you're going to find some mentoring and good courses around building yourself to be able to do a better job with your life. So there are many things we've talked about today. I think one of the key ones has been, abandon the get rich quick thing. Yeah, it's not really the way to go. If you want to invest, then you need to be in it for the long haul, and you need to begin to look at problems you need to solve. You need to invest in learning and the skill sets. You need to realize there are many opportunities on finance, especially decentralized finance. There's a lot of talk about value addition, agriculture, the digital space, e-commerce. And it's interesting, I never used to like much e-commerce charity, but I've been surprised by how many things I've bought in the last 2 years online. And they are dropped in my house, and it was cheaper. And even when I wasn't satisfied by one of the items, they picked it up and they, brought another one. And I think Kenyans are beginning to embrace that, including, food deliveries and things like that. So there's a lot happening that we need to adapt to. I think at the beginning we talked about adapting, and of course, digitalization. So I think we can start with you, Charity, just some last comments in terms of opportunities and encouragement, both to young entrepreneurs and the not so young. I think many times the young ones are desperate to get something, and then the not so young ones, we are held up, we have hang-ups to our ways of doing things, so we don't want to change, we're not flexible, and we get left by the bus. Charity.
I love your last comments. The fact that we're not so young, we get left by the bus because we've got our hang-ups. I think we need to change our thinking and just embrace that things are changing and things will not be the same again. Whichever industry you are in, you'd better just style up and move into the digital space, because that's where we are at. And for the young ones, because that has been my experience, and I will repeat and emphasize again, there's no get rich quick scheme. You need to put in the work, the time, and the money for you to learn the skill sets, for you to be able to move to the next level. I would also say something, because I'm in the hospitality industry. So I've also been seeing my people in the same industry struggling because they're still stuck up in the old way of doing things. So at the end of the day, they still want to do things the old way, but stuff has changed. I saw an example the other day whereby airlines used to pay commission, they're now not paying commissions. People are booking online more, the e-commerce way. Actually, right now, I am developing, together with like 2 other people, we are developing an e-commerce site for tourism, for the tourism sector. But the 2 operators are still stuck up in the old way of doing things, where they expect to earn commissions, yet clients now want to go direct to the suppliers. The people who are supplying the, giving the services. So we need to change our way of doing things and just really realize that we need to embrace the digital space. Now, in the decentralized or the money markets, we are used to the fiat, we call it fiat, the currency, hard cash. we are moving away from that. It's high time that people also embrace the digital space whereby currencies are concerned and learned that the digital space, the decentralized finance is where we are going to, and people are making money. So when you sit back, Bitcoin was $30 at one point. Right now, it's almost going to $60,000. We've got Ethereum, we've got other altcoins. People are now selling art. The other day, somebody sold a piece for $62,000, and we are here sleeping and saying this is a scam. Man, you're the scam. Just wake up and smell the coffee and just move on with what is going on in the world in terms of the, the digital space. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. So we should be open to new things and understand that there's a lot that can happen there. We do our due diligence, but don't dismiss things because you don't understand them. There's a lot of opportunity there. Joram, some last words?
Yeah. I think it's just in line with the same thoughts that have been shared in terms of let go of the past. Like just let go of how things were always done in the past. And the world is always evolving. Digital is big right now. Everything is moving into the digital space, and digital is, enabling things to move a lot faster and bring a lot more productivity. You can see with people, working from home and the like, the general information that's been out is that productivity has increased because, of course, some people are not staying in jam for 2 hours either way as they used to. So they're able to attend more meetings. I remember we were talking with someone yesterday saying how in Nairobi you could only do a maximum of 2 meetings in a day, when they were physical. But on the digital space, you can even do 6 because you're just jumping out of one Zoom into the other. And in line with embracing the digital space, also continue to invest in knowledge in that space, go deep and focus into the chosen, art or science that you decide to take. There's a lot of information and data that is showing there's a lot of opportunities that are coming out locally, regionally, and globally, as I said. For those who are in Kenya, although it's largely becoming irrelevant where you are, we as a Sandbox, especially if you're running a small business, are there available to help you rethink how your business is running. So if you need some advice in that space, even our programs have gone digital, and then we realized that our market opened up from the physical people who would come to the office 5, 10, 20, and now we basically have the entire globe that we are serving, and a lot of people are happy to join us online and partake the learning that we are giving. So if people like ourselves who are in very traditional industries can be able to translate our business into the digital space, there's really no business that is immune to translating into the digital space. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate our conversation. Time flies as always, and we're coming to the end of it. I think I love the note at which you've ended it. There is hope. There are opportunities. There's a lot that you can do, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to need some counselors and people who can hold your hand and mentor you, as it has been said. But you need to put in the time, you need to learn so that you understand what is happening. At the end of the day, things are going to get better. I think there's been just this cloud of depression, and many people feeling there's nothing else to do. I talk with a lot of parents who are saying, my children don't have a job, we don't know what to do. And instead of us just being at a place of whining, complaining, and thinking the world is coming to an end, there's a lot more that we can do. So I think the call today is for us to open our eyes, realize the opportunities, go for them, get to study, embrace the digital space and technology, and you will find yourself in a better place. Well, it's been a great conversation. Thank you very much. Those of you need to contact Joram at Sandbox, feel free to do that. Those of you need to figure out Tandaza Africa, feel free to check them out online. there's a lot that you can learn. And the rest of you, as we continue to do training for Transform Nations, you're welcome to be part of our programs. Let me say a quick prayer, and then we will call it a good night for those in East Africa. Lord, we are grateful for the conversation that we have made. We always like to end with prayer because we face many challenges. And those who are listening in, there's somewhat places where they really need divine help. We all need divine help, God, but there are those of us in desperate places. And we pray for them today, that you'd encourage them, open some doors for them, hold their hands, and get them out of a bad place so that they will find the opportunities you provided around us. Thank you for our businesses and for the work that we are doing. We celebrate our time together in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thank you very much, Charity. We are glad that you made time. Thank you, Joram. We are really excited. Next week, we're going to turn gears and get into relationships and the challenges we are facing with our young people. So that's going to be the talk for the next few weeks. We're looking forward to having more of you, and let your friends know we are back. And we look forward to next week and what we're going to be talking about. Have a good night. Charity, Jerome, God bless.
God bless and good night.
Good night.